Hey guys, I think it's off. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is Sunday, October 7th, 2018. We are here and you are here for our top European and UK news. Are we going to start out with Theresa May?
You know,
No.
Why don't we could do that a couple of times?
Okay.
I think it might be worth our while to see the Dancing Queen. So Theresa May literally made worldwide headlines.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, but I love this one is my favorite.
No.
Though,
Did somebody do that?
because somebody did this to it. So she comes out for her
They added sticks. These are not really here.
right. No,
That's interposed.
so she comes out to the Dancing Queen.
Do you have volume?
Just
Okay.
I'm sure we do. I hope so. Is it on?
Yeah.
And they went worldwide. It went viral. Kind of showing her, maybe lack of, kind of being out of touch.
Decorum.
So
That is
fantastic.
fantastic.
We'll play another one. We'll get back to it. But
Oh,
can Theresa May, the Dancing Queen, deliver the goods?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
that's the question of the day, the hour of the day. So I'm going to run through, kind of doing all over Europe, just random stories, and then we're going to hit it. Then we're going to go into Italy has put their foot down. I mean, these are real men. Like, I love real men are finally putting their foot down in Italy. It's refreshing to see. Manliness is great again in Italy. It is.
I love it.
Awesome. It's a time for Theresa May to go. A lot of people are saying yes. So
Sean says Mrs. May is a hot mover. Oh, and the holiday was amazing. Maya, thanks. Maya had asked Sean how their holiday in Germany went. We got to see the pictures.
Yes.
It looked like it was absolutely amazing.
Wonderful.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here.
So we cover the UK and Euro news basically because we have the same globalist one world agenda here.
Right.
Only in Europe it's different in that you have a whole continent, Africa, that George Soros and the one world government has decided to replace the population of Europe with.
Right.
And to destabilize Europe. And why would they want to destabilize Europe? That's a really good question. But here, just for a moment, I want you, when we say Europe, this is what we think of. This is Rick Steve's Europe. I'm going to pick just some pictures of some, castles in Germany. What does this make you feel like when you see this? Like, it makes you feel like refreshed and renewed, and you want to go visit that.
Right. Did you guys go and visit that, Sean? It's the
Kritzbeinstein
Castle in Saxony, Germany.
Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with having people come and join in and mesh in with your society. And,
Yeah, great.
in college I had a beautiful, wonderful black German friend, and
I had a dream about her last night. I did
Christine.
no idea you were going to bring her up.
And she is German. She's German, woman born and raised in Germany. She's black. But she's German. She's part of the German culture. She's German.
Wow.
When these other people come in, they don't speak the languages. They don't want to be part of that country.
Yeah.
They don't want to embrace it. I have a friend of mine who lives in France. She is fully French now.
She loves being French.
She is French. She speaks fluent French.
She's raising 3 French babies.
Yeah, so she if you're going to live in a country, be part of a country, that's because you want to embrace their culture and who they are, not change it. George Soros, on the other hand, wants to change cultures, wants to mess with people's side. You can go help her sit down, little poor Jasper.
Need help sitting down.
So in France's most wanted criminal evaded the police by wearing a burqa for 3 months.
Nice.
3 months. Dude wears a burqa, evades the police. I'm not even kidding you. Randoin Fiad, France's most wanted fugitive for the death of a policewoman during a botched robbery in 2010, has been found 3 months, nearly to the day, from when he escaped from prison. He was the mastermind behind a botched robbery in 2010 amongst a plethora of previous crimes. A policewoman was killed during his attempted raid on a security van carrying cash. On July 1st, with the help of 3 heavily armed men, he escaped in a helicopter, flown by a flying instructor taken hostage. He has been on the run for 3 months.
No way.
This is not Fiad's first escape. In 2013, he seized 4 prison guards using dynamite, blew off the jail doors, and he spent 6 weeks on the run at that time.
This is a movie. You never hear about this stuff.
Early Wednesday morning, police finally tracked Fiad to a block of flats after monitoring mobile phones used by the gang that participated in the jailbreak. There was a young woman in Creole where Fiad grew up. The last weekend had let into her car a person dressed in a burqa whose figure suggested he might be a man.
Right.
Okay. The person dressed in a burqa got out of the car and entered the woman's flat, followed by another person also in a burqa. The police immediately suspected the 2 burqa-clad people of being Rodin Fiad and his brother Rashid. On Wednesday, a large show of strength of France's BRI police raided the flat, arresting... I'm probably sounding
I would say
wrong.
Rahid.
No.
Oh, the guy's name. I thought we were right here. Okay,
that's
sorry. Rashid.
Redone Fiad. His brother Rashid, along with the flat owner's 28-year-old nephew. The nephew and 2 other suspects were detained elsewhere. Redone is one of France's most notorious criminals. Despite the violent nature of his crimes, he has almost had a celebrity status. He was sentenced to 10 years after his jailbreak.
Hijacking a helicopter, using dynamite to get out of prison. He thinks he's Tom Cruise.
The Battle of the Burqa has significantly intensified after this, as citizens across France and the world are seeing a valid reason for not allowing burqas in public places.
Come on, you gotta admit it's genius.
Fears of safety having been previously labeled as racist, tonight being proven to be a very valid concern.
Because now, every person that's wearing a burqa is a suspected high-stakes criminal.
And, here's the thing. It's not, when you allow these things to happen, then, of course, every cause has an equal opposite reaction.
Yeah,
cause and reaction.
Something like that.
So, whatever, I can't. Sometimes I self-censor myself.
No, that was a good story. Because, sometimes I think to myself, can we ever cover any happy bad stories?
Well, the policewoman did die.
Okay, then that's not so happy.
ISIS recruiter runs 2 schools in Sweden, and they'll open a 3rd next year. The government does nothing. As it happens, the ISIS recruiter operates a free school in Sweden. Years ago, the thought of it would have been scandalous. Today in Sweden, it will barely raise an eyebrow. Sweden's security police report that the identified activities of the president of the science school in Gothenburg reveal the reason Sweden's 2nd largest city produces the largest number of jihadists, producing around roughly 300 or 1/3 of Sweden's jihadists. I love that there's a number on the number of Sweden's jihadists. We have them all numbered. We know who they are. Bag them, tag them, but don't put them in jail or anything.
And let them start a school.
Having been previously reported for ties with Islamism, because that's the word we're allowed to use for Muslim extremism or teaching things like Sharia law, killing Jews, that you're allowed to say Islamism. That's the new catchphrase for Islamism. Okay? Islamism.
Okay.
And employees expressing sympathies for ISIS, the president and principal, Abdel Nasser El-Nadid, denies accusation of Islamism, claiming that he has 5 children born in Sweden, saying he is striving to protect its society. Sure. There has been no formal charges against him, but El-Nadid, 53, is a longtime recruiter for Muslim extremism and is present on the SAPO's Islamic extremist lists. A list, you can just operate schools, you can hang out there, do what you want, as long as you don't, blow anybody up yet.
Right. If you're a potential terrorist, you're fine. As soon as you blow somebody up, not so fine.
I know. The list contains about roughly 2,000 people. Doku reports that El-Nadidi has been running groups of Islamic studies and has appeared in various conferences within the radical Islamic environment in Sweden. el-Nadidi also campaigned for a strong Sunni Muslim state in the autumn of 2014 during ISIS's assault in Syria and Iran. At the time, he managed to create a short-lived, self-proclaimed caliphate. Yet, despite years of warnings, the science school is allowed to continue and is even expanding. The school has been granted permission to open a third school in Halmstad in 2019. Yes, so for Sweden.
Nice.
I know.
Yay for Sweden. Now, so, it kind of reminds me of, I always talk about the leap that we know is going to happen by legalizing gay marriages. The steps always end up at, well, pedophilia is kind of okay because there may be child love. And this is what we're seeing with these. Now you have pretty much a school that is ISIS.
Yeah.
And nobody raises an eyebrow because we've desensitized and we've taken these steps that then it's just a tiny step to get to that point. Whereas it would have been a bigger leap if there hadn't been all of these things implemented in between.
So this is a German article, Google Translate. And I wanted to read pieces of it to you guys because, and I'm sure that Jorg, so what, if you're watching today, knows this probably site very well. Engenblick. So here's an interview with Paul. It's not his real name. He's a Syrian refugee.
Yeah.
Even if you do not like to hear it, a large part of the refugees want to Islamize Germany piece by piece. Now we can see it and we can say it,
yes.
But when you say it, then it's not politically correct.
Right.
But since he's saying it, then we're allowed to read what he's saying, and suddenly I don't know. Ask
Tommy about that, but go ahead.
That's true. His name has changed, but we're going to call him Paul.
Okay,
has
Paul.
been in Germany for about 3 years. Only recently did he receive his status as a recognized refugee for 1 year with subsidiary protection. Paul, who actually has the Arabic first name Jihad, not even kidding you.
No.
Is a psychologist and has worked as an IT specialist for a city government in Syria. Arriving in Germany, he worked as a translator for the BAMF as well as for social institutions within the state reception center. He speaks English pretty well. His German is getting better and better. And again, they talked to Paul in the past years. Often he was close to tears out of disappointment, but also with anger at other refugees. He has been married in Syria for only 4 months. He has lost $50,000 in his family to, I think, this is a weird translation, probably thieves or something. His wife is still in Syria. Through stress and anxiety over what's going on in Syria, Paul's wife lost her baby during pregnancy. Before that, everything seemed safe. Now they pray for peace and will finally come home. If you look at the pictures of last few years from Syria, which is following the news, it is hard to imagine today that Damascus could once understood Muslims like Christians very well. My neighborhood was mixed. Christians lived next to Muslims. Shiites and Sunnis also came to an agreement. Syria under Bashar al-Assad was at least liberal and open, he says. There was no strict separation between men and women in the cafes, and no headscarves for women. On the contrary, Syria was modern. But Paul also says he does not want to gloss over. Assad would certainly have made mistakes and may be called a dictator, but nevertheless, the president has always sought a balance. In the interview, Paul continues to tell how war broke out over Syria and which refugees we are dealing with in Europe in general, but especially in Germany. It says, as already agreed, please describe once again your views. How do you see the situation in Germany and the numerous refugees here? Do they all feel well, and what exactly are their and your goals? He says, in any case, I would like to enjoy peace and quiet here, and a few other refugees as well. I'm learning German. I hope to get a good job, but here too, there are often restlessness and discussions among the refugees. I say so, and you can use everything. In fact, most of the refugees did not come to Europe, and especially to Germany, because they were oppressed, persecuted, convicted, or even discriminated against. No, it's the opposite. Wow. In fact, most of these refugees came to Europe in general, and to Germany in particular, not because their lives were threatened, not because they were suppressed, persecuted, oppressed, or racial discrimination. They came here for other reasons. What exactly do you mean? How did the riots in Syria start from your point of view? So they say all the chaos and tragedy with the war and destruction started when many people from the Emirates and especially from Saudi Arabia and Qatar flooded Syria. The majority of these immigrants quickly established and organized and formed groups to bring so-called refugees directly to Europe. Okay, so this, what he's saying, is a Saudi instigated war.
Right.
And that would make sense why we're working with the Saudis to try to overthrow Assad. So pretty much Saudi Arabia and the United States problem, that Europe is flooded with Syrian refugees. And in effect, what they say is everybody who looks Asian.
Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern. Is a refugee from Syria.
I know.
Like
exactly.
Small country,
and it's really
everybody's
not
a
true.
Syrian refugee.
No, and you can't blanket. It's chicken math. Okay?
They're coming from Afghanistan, Iraq, everywhere, all over, and they're like, Syria, right?
Right.
So this is all planned. Through Erdogan's, Turkey, through Erdogan's government, was involved, was involved in opening the border and facilitated the movement of refugees to Europe. Basically like, hey, here we go, ready, right through here. This is awesome. Because Erdogan is, he's wanting to establish his own Islamic caliphate and government and this. It would just tickle him pink to see Europe Islamic.
True.
It was pretty much him that made it possible to get a lot of them in. Unfortunately, not all of them were real refugees for reasons that would justify seeking asylum abroad. No, many of them were directly involved in the war in Syria. Many of them were already fighting for or against the Assad policy in Syria, or some even joined ISIS. Very confusing. Many of them are incubators, murderers, terrorists, and debt collectors. In another chat, Paul mentions that his wife suffers greatly because she still has to stay in Syria. Other Muslim and aggressive people in Germany, but recognized with the refugee status. It also shows that he's angry that he can't bring his wife in,
right?
But he sees all these murderous terrorist people walking around free.
And that's what we see, the hypocrisy in all of this. Do you guys remember Trump's travel ban? Okay, they called it a Muslim ban. It was not, because some of the top Muslim countries weren't even on the list.
Don't you think they should have a gender quota?
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. But what I was going to get to is they should actually qualify as a refugee. Now, a refugee is somebody that is seeking asylum because of their political or mostly religious beliefs that are being persecuted against. You can't just, unfortunately, live in a war-torn area and then be called a refugee. That's not how refugee statuses work. And so what we see is we have mostly persecuted Christians in Middle Eastern countries that deserve refugee status. They are being killed. They are being persecuted. Their lands are being stolen. That is when you open up your doors and you say, okay, you deserve political asylum. You deserve to be a refugee. And instead, we have all of these other people skipping, and jumping in front of everyone.
Could we just
in these
go,
lines.
Liberate all the Chinese Christians and bring them over here?
Okay, we're going to get to China, maybe not today, but tomorrow we're going to talk about that. But I wanted to get to a comment from Patty on Facebook Live. Western Europe is doomed. Honest experts agree that the hordes of immigrants whose ideologies are incompatible with Western culture will eventually dominate and control these countries. Very alarming and sad.
I got a new buzzword for you guys. Are you ready? It's called organized. Now, the Cortez woman, the crazy socialist in New York running in America for a seat in New York,
right?
She's a communist socialist. Now she blundered through. I'm gonna play this for you because you need to see this because it crosses barriers, because it's Soros and these deep staters are behind both things,
right?
This democratic socialist in America,
absolutely.
So, I'm going to see. It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's a video here. And they're calling it a jumbled word salad. Now just listen.
Is this one we've already watched, or is this a new one?
No.
Washington. I mean, I think you're going to win. That's a prediction I'm making. I don't know. I mean, you have to till the bell rings. But you're in a very heavily Democratic district. You're going there. I mean, you're going there. There's a time where people were talking about how it's broken and it's so polarized, both of which I think are true. And you're also coming really as an outsider at a moment where I think people are watching what happened today and want to storm the gates. And you're going to actually do that. So what's your plan here?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with changing our strategy.
So you guys all saw the Kavanaugh craziness.
I'm
the
sure they didn't
BBC
see it
even
all.
covered it.
The women, I'm gonna pull that. Is it okay? Can I pull that up?
If you want to. Now, here's the thing.
I'll mute it.
He just said, you saw the craziness. People want to storm the gates. You're part of that.
Right.
She is one of these Storm the Gator people.
Right.
Okay, now that's scary in and of itself, but listen.
Strategy around governance. You know, there's a lot of inside baseball and inside the beltway, as you always hear that term thrown around. But there are very few organizers in Congress, and I do think that organizers operate differently. It's a different kind of strategy, and what it is really about organizing and really thinking about that word, organizing, segmenting people, being strategic in their actions, in really bringing together a cohesive strategy of putting pressure on the chamber instead of only focusing on the pressures inside the chamber.
That's a really interesting thought. You know,
Job.
how are you going to get along with...
No one knows what that means, but I do. Okay? Everybody's like, what is this jumbled word salad? You got a biscuit on the side for this? Nobody knows what she's saying. She's saying exactly what the Syrian refugee is saying. He says, it was almost systematically organized because it was well known and politically repeated. Germany needed immigrants because most European societies were aging and old, and the births were reversed. And so you have these, it was communicated in Syria as well as in other Arab countries from organized groups. It was clear that with the demographics, the refugees themselves had no problems with their large families. From a religious point of view, everything is wanted. Religion always allows a man to marry up to 4 women and have many children. It is also no secret that most of the refugees are Sunni Muslims. They make a simple calculation. They are convinced that the situation here in 2 or 3 decades will change completely, and who will stand behind them. Basically, this is a translation of he's saying is that these are Sunni Muslims. Mm-hmm. They're organized. They realize if they can flood, I can have 2, 3, 4 wives, and we can keep having children.
Absolutely.
We can change. We can organize.
Yes.
and work from within Europe and take it down from within by having babies. The Democratic Socialist is a communist point of view, and they literally grab hands with Islam because why?
They organize.
They organize and then they oppress.
Exactly.
They don't. It's not democracy. It's repeat after me-isms. And we
just like we saw that on Friday.
Many, oh my gosh, you guys! On Twitter, I went through so many more last night where people were literally being brainwashed into repeating jumbled word messes.
Okay, so I do want to take you guys really quickly, and I know this is European and UK News Day, but this got me. This is the people. But yeah, go ahead.
Have you seen the movie World War Z? Where people are affected with a virus that makes them zombie-like? What we're seeing amongst these people is a World War Z type moment.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just watched that last night.
There is a vaccine for this.
Yeah, that's what you put in the
It's called populism or getting on the Trump train.
Right.
Sanity, any of that.
I'm sorry, I just really enjoyed that.
So you need to see the parallels between the socialist, these are all funded by George Soros, guys. A woman there's a woman who went after Jeff Flake, one of the senators who called for an FBI investigation on the Kavanaugh thing. You call him Flaked. The woman screamed at him in an elevator and got him to, cry or whatever. She makes $179,000 from a George Soros MoveOn.org type group.
Right.
George Soros was just kicked out of Hungary for a very good reason. And I think he set up in Belgium. I think he set up in Berlin. I think he set up in Berlin.
Soros, your own people don't want you, man.
So do you really believe that someday they will have the upper hand in Europe? Not only do you believe it, you are convinced of it, and it seems to be your mission. So I think that's what he means to say is that's not only do they believe it, they're convinced of it, and it's their mission.
Remember, this is Google Translate.
Right. No, seriously, what are the true motivations? Well, the first is clearly religious. The second is financial. They came to Germany with the absolute certainty that it was so wanted by their God and only Allah. Paul wrote, their God, the Muslim God, because they consider religion to God is Islam and that all other religions are infidels and deserve to be killed. We leave a translation at this point. They are convinced that they have a mandate to spread their faith, Islam, in Europe and open the doors wide, which they hardly need. The doors are already wide open. And at the very top, in their importance, is at some point the capture of the Vatican to see the dome of Peter, to blow the Islamic flag, and to extinguish everything that is reminiscent of Christians or Christianity. They are, most of them, really backward-looking, conservatively traditional. Even many Muslims here among the Turks wonder what kind of Muslim immigrated to Germany. Not everyone comes here who thinks this way. I can only tell you what I've experienced here since my arrival. Many of them refuse to develop and integrate into society. They regard their religion and laws as the real and true and would never submit to it here. I recently read a statistic, only 11% go after a full-time job. Most of them really prefer to take advantage of the social support, which is not small in Germany.
That's 89%, by the way.
There comes something together. Many refugees have several children. They live differently here, and they are convinced they are too. It is up to them to make the money from us unbelieving Christians. It is halal, pure, because that's her job too. Are you so critical because you and your family have become Christians? No, I've often mentioned that we actually coexisted peacefully in Syria, side by side without any problems, until the whole thing started in Syria with the conservative Islam from Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, there are really many refugee men here, like sectarians, who want to convert and pressure others even more. For me, they are ticking time bombs, religious fanatics. I myself am also a refugee, but grateful to be safe here. But these people, and I have experience in Syria after the outbreak of war, are dangerous. They kidnap. They spread fear. And also like to go against Christians. They love to sow fear. We always hear so many different reasons for war. All against Assad, then the Shiites against the Sunnis. Actually, you do not know anything about such religious wars in Europe. Here, religion and freedom of expression prevail. Yes, you know that too. There are many Islamic infrastructures. There were many Muslims before that, especially the Turkish community was big. Once again, Bashar al-Assad has not oppressed anyone. Everything started with the influence of the immigrant Muslims and their Wahhabism. The president was not a Sunni. That was the biggest problem. Syria has never been, and anyone can testify, a strictly religious sectarian state. Nor do I say that al-Assad and his family and government are all angels. But one thing for sure, we had a good education and health system there that also took the poorer population into account. We and others did not lack the most important things. With the splinter group and the terror in Syria broke out a bad time. And unfortunately, Syria people without conscience are here. Basically saying we had a good life. We woke up every day. We had a home. We had clothing.
Right.
We probably had cell phones. We had cars. We had a good life. Everything was fine until Saudi Arabia brought in their Wahhabism. Now, to Nigel Farage and to Donald Trump and to everyone who keeps saying that Iran is our biggest problem. They are the Russian gators compared to China. China is our biggest problem.
Okay, so we're going to talk about China.
A little.
No.
Not now. I think we got it, because it's so huge.
It is. We're
going to cover it. China is our biggest problem, not Russia. Saudi Arabia is the world's biggest problem, not Iran. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that Iran...
Follow the money.
Iran is going to have a revolution because Iranian people are actually way more evolved, you could say, than Saudi Arabian people. Okay, when I watch these videos, they're very Western, they're very modern.
Yeah.
Half of them are just tired of being shut down. I'm going to read a little bit more, but what I would really like is for you guys to share. If you could, I don't know, Michelle, if you could go into the thing and put this in the description. I want you to share this article with your friends and your family. You don't even have to share my video. I want Nigel Farage to read this, because when we say it, we are somehow evil. But
Right.
here's a Christian Syrian refugee saying the people that I talk to, the people that I know, they brought in Wahhabism into Syria to create a divide. Okay? And to sow these refugees in there to create an Islamic State. How do you experience the onset of war and terror in Syria until you had to flee yourself? I tried as long as possible to pursue my work. At some point, it was no longer possible. The Wahhabi imams incited citizens and Orthodox Muslims. So what they did the same thing in Lebanon. The Palestinians did that to the Lebanese people. They incite them.
Right.
Bit by bit, we Christians were attacked more and more, especially... Sorry.
Did you tweet that out?
No, I haven't yet.
Where did you find it? Because I can't find it in your history. I don't know why.
Okay.
Well, hang on. There might be... No, shoot. No, I just opened them all up. Go ahead.
I can tweet it out. Many people are still missing today. He was attacked. Where are the dangers lurking, and where are the chances of a peaceful coalition with us? Unfortunately, I cannot look so optimistically into the future. I have experienced too much. I know the people of my region and experience them here too. The biggest challenge will be that Germany strengthens its laws and constitution and does not give in or respond. The refugees know where they went, so they want to challenge Germany and Europe. The moderate Muslims barely raise their voices against the conservative Muslims out of fear. 80% of the Muslims among the refugees here were clearly behind Erdogan in the crisis between Germany and Turkey. I've had a lot of discussions at the camp and always ask, hello, you've been shot here. You have protection. You have a lot of money, so why are you against Germany? They always answer with conviction, Erdogan is a Muslim like us, and it's good that he's giving contravention.
So is it? Did you get
West.
it from this Voices of Europe?
Yes.
So I can just share that.
Mm-hmm. You see it everywhere, as in Egypt and Iraq. Christians are expelled, persecuted, and killed. I live and suffer here silently.
I'm going to drop it in the chat too, guys, if you want to grab it.
So that really kind of says it all. It kind of gives you an idea of what's going on inside of the Islamic communities themselves.
I'm also sharing it on Facebook Live in addition to YouTube. So
in Finland, 4 women were convicted and fined for slandering a singer in the Me Too related social media posts. The Helsinki District Court on Friday ruled that women were guilty of slander in order to pay fines and cover the singer's 7,400 legal euro fees. 4 women were convicted of slander by the Helsinki District Court on Friday over a series of social media posts they made about the Finnish vocalist Tommy somebody. All 4 defendants were sentenced to pay 25-day fines amounting between 150 and 675 euros, depending on their salaries. She was, I guess somebody said that she was this guy was a serial molester or something like that. And wherever you go in Europe now, you can't say anything, you can't do anything. They fine you, they will put you in jail. We have freedom of speech here. Do you know the stuff that they say about Donald Trump every single day?
I know.
You have no freedom of speech over there in...
we have Kathy Griffin that's able to hold the President of the United States, a depiction of his head, severed, in her hand, and she doesn't get fined, she doesn't go to jail, nothing happens to her, and yet these people in Europe, it's like clap them in irons. Immediately.
This teenager had to quit her college course on the first day after being given a final warning for declaring her support for Tommy Robinson. Teenager Alyssa Cook Gray says she was given a final warning by her college because she told classmates her favorite person was Tommy Robinson. The 17-year-old was attending the first day of her art and employability course at Total People in Prince Albert Street. Alyssa of Crewe says her classmates were openly expressing their support for Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn when she told them she identified more with right-wing ideologies. When asked who she admired, she responded that she liked Tommy Robinson, who is best known for performing the English whatever. She told the Stoke-on-Trent Live show she now feels terrified to return to her course and has taken the decision it wasn't for her quitting. After an hour after lesson, she said, I was given a final warning for being too right-wing. It was the first day, and we were all having conversation when Jeremy Corbyn came up. I asked people not to get into it because it was filled with a room of lefties. She didn't want to get into it because she knew she was with a bunch of lefties. I said my opinion. The teacher said, get out. We don't want people with your views. I was given a final warning for being too right. Her classmates started asking everyone who their favorite person was, and I said Tommy Robinson. I like what he's doing for our country, and I follow all of his stories. I think he is a savior. Alyssa decided to take the course at the training center as a fresh start, where she hoped to gain qualifications in math and English before taking an apprenticeship. She added, the tutor said she would have a word with the others, but when I went in, I felt quite uncomfortable because of what happened.
Unbelievable.
She was told to get out. Her dad says the training center should not discriminate against people, whether it's about race or political views.
And
her dad says, I am absolutely fuming about what happened, and they should not have turned around and she said she might not be able to continue with the course.
Do you know how many non-Catholics attend Catholic universities and schools? I mean, if you're going to get an education, education should be open and free to everyone. It shouldn't matter what your political... It doesn't matter. It's not even that it shouldn't. This is illegal. What is happening here is illegal. Somebody should step in and fine this university. Yeah. They should get in trouble. The teacher should get fired.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
In Romania, they have now voted on a constitutional ban for same-sex marriage. Romania is voting this weekend on whether to define marriage as a union between man and woman. Currently, the law does define marriage as a union of spouses. The conservative EU nation decriminalized homosexuality in 2001, but it neither allows same-sex marriage nor recognizes same-sex unions. So we'll see where that goes. Hungarian Foreign Minister to CNN's Christine Emapour, we don't accept multiculturalism. International correspondent Christine Emapour recently tried to grill Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó in an interview for CNN. However, he refused to budge. He says, "We have been a Christian country for 1,000 years, and I do not understand why it would be a bad idea to keep it like that."
So hang on. Can we just lay something out? We are talking about an entire country. If they choose to reject multiculturalism, they are allowed to do that. There is not a world police that steps in and says, you must allow. It's a country, man. Okay? I understand within your country decides to make laws and you have to abide by those laws. I get that. That part I get. But you cannot have a world police. And here's news for you guys. Entering into the European Union was never, ever, ever supposed to be a morality world police on different nations. It was just supposed to be about open and free trade. That's all that it was. That's actually not true. The inception and the people that really came from Nazi Germany, from Hitler's party, people founded the European Union. But it was never supposed to be that.
Right.
Okay,
let's see.
Is trying to be. Your Prime Minister Orban, has repeatedly said that his main aim is to preserve, quote, Christian Hungary. And you've said, we don't accept that multiculturalism is a value by itself. Less than 2% of Hungarians were born outside the country. It's weird, that kind of language. It's very out of step with
it's honest.
The world.
It's
honest, okay? It's honest from your perspective.
Yeah.
From your perspective. Wait, pause. It's just honest, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. It is them being honest.
Here's the thing.
From your perspective.
Saying that multiculturalism in and of itself is its own virtue.
And it is not.
Anything other than white Christians into your country not accepted?
No one said that.
Your Prime Minister did say it. A Christian Hungary. Preserve a Christian Hungary.
Yeah, because
why does she say white?
I know, exactly.
We have been a Christian country for a millennium, and I don't really understand why is it bad news that we don't want to change that, and I don't understand why is it bad or why is it unacceptable that we would like to stick to our history, to our culture, to our heritage, to our...
Do they go into Islamic countries and say, why don't, is it bad if people say you want to keep Iran Muslim? I don't see them sitting down interviewing any Muslim leaders.
Right.
Our religion. And in this case, I can tell you that we never judged other countries which had different kind of policies. We never judged countries who said that multiculturalism is more valuable than a homogeneous society, for example. But please, let's leave it to the certain countries. Let's leave it to us to make a decision whether we think multiculturalism is more valuable than a homogeneous society. I understand we don't agree on that, but I respect that you have a different position, and I'm not going to judge you on that. I'll find you a very sympathetic person, independently from this. So I will never judge you. But I expect the same, that we think this way. And please, let's leave it to a sovereign decision of a nation, how it would like to continue its life in its own country. So yes, we think that a country sticking to its heritage, its culture, its religion, is as valuable as another one which thinks that multiculturalism is better than that.
I fully understand what your Prime Minister and your government thinks. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it and the underlying facts.
We want to call you
You
racist.
claim to have an immigration problem, or you don't want these invaders. Sorry,
Yeah.
let's put it a different way. You don't want these invaders.
Illegal migrants, we don't want. Yeah, sure.
Your Prime Minister called them invaders.
Yeah, okay. I agree.
Yet, you don't actually have an immigration problem. You don't have an asylum problem. You have a population of 10 million or so, with less than 4,000 refugees or people seeking to migrate, and some of those seeking asylum. You don't actually have a numbers problem, and you haven't declared a massive crime problem or a terrorism problem. So
There's a reason for that.
She doesn't have a massive immigration problem.
Or terror problem, or crime problem.
Aha.
I guess my question is, again, why? What is the basis? Is it just cultural?
Maybe
Is
keep
it
it
just
that way?
Fortress Hungary?
Because if it did not resist or reject, then we would have this problem.
So essentially, you, Hungary, are trying to be the firewall. Is that what you're saying?
No, actually, we are protecting our border. We are complying with our obligations because, look, we are members of the Schengen area. You know Schengen
Well,
area?
yes, that's what I was going to get to.
We are member of the Schengen area. The Schengen Code says very clearly, if you are a country located at the external border, like we are, then you have to comply with the following obligations. Number one, you have to make sure that your border is only crossed through the border crossing points. Number two, only with proper documentation. And number three, only during opening hours. And we have to comply with that, and we do.
But there are other EU rules that the EU believes you are in violation of, which go to all.
So literally what the EU says is that
It doesn't. We trump everything.
No, what they're saying is that you have these rules that, like, if I'm going to try to go into a foreign country, I have to go through their border checkpoints.
Right.
I have to have proper documentation, and I have to go in the hours that they're open.
Straightforward.
And that's a law for me. But the EU has these other laws that if somehow you break in,
Yes.
then you get asylum. If you can go in after hours, around the checkpoints,
So it
with no
incentivizes
documentation.
going against the law, which is ridiculous. Lisa on Facebook Live says multiculturalism has worked so well for Sweden, not
all sorts of issues like rule of law, tolerance, and all sorts of things.
Tolerance.
The EU is currently proceeding with Article 7, which could invoke disciplinary action and the suspension of some EU membership rights. I mean, how does Hungary feel being sanctioned by the EU itself?
We are not.
Well, they're talking about it. You know, the process is ongoing.
I have, of course I do.
Well, what if you were then?
You know,
How do you feel if you were?
I'm among the very few ones, I guess, who read that report. It has 69 points, putting allegations on Hungary, out of which 13 points are agreed upon by the European Commission and the Hungarian government. Agreed, period. 19 are under discussion, and 37 are just lies. Now, the governments of Czech Republic, the Prime Minister himself, and the government of Poland made it very clear immediately.
Well, they're all like-minded.
That they would veto any kind of sanctions against Hungary, and you know that it requires a unanimous decision. And you know that the same kind of procedure is going on against Poland currently, and we would veto any kind of sanctions against the Poland.
I love him so much. Very well spoken.
But
he knows his stuff.
Left-wing propaganda was like out on full display.
And the boy just told him, listen, it requires a unanimous decision, and we got our own little block, and we be sticking together. Okay? And it's a beautiful thing what we were seeing between the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Poland. It's so awesome. It's so great. I love it. It makes me excited that around the world, and I think Italy could be kind of included there, around the world, people are waking up. They're not going to be pushed around. They're not going to be bullied. We would love to see, Pole exit. We would love to see the Hungary exit. We would love to see all these people leave the European Union and watch it crumble. I believe after the UK officially leaves, I think things are going to get pretty shaky in the EU.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, what would they do without Nigel anyway?
Nick Ferrari, a teacher gave my son a detention for saying he'd vote for UKIP.
Oh my God.
Paul is in Loughton. Paul, what happened to your son? He got into trouble, is that right? Good morning.
Yeah, there was a few of them. It was during the last general election, and I was having a debate in his class about who you'd vote for, and one boy said he'd vote for UKIP, and the teacher said that all UKIP voters are racist. So my boy joined in and said, well, I vote for UKIP, and I'm not racist. They're about controlling it, whatever.
Yeah.
And he was getting detention, the 3 boys that said it. And when he came home and told me, I didn't believe him. I said, let me ring the school. And the head of the year said, when I talked about it to the teacher, came back and he couldn't apologise enough. He said it's, you know, she got angry because they said they'd vote for UKIP.
A teacher gave you... How old is your boy?
He was 15 at the time.
Oh, my God. So they're on the verge of becoming young men. They're a couple of years off from voting. They're having a conversation about the general election. One boy says, I'd vote UKIP. Your teacher goes nuts and says they're racist. Your son, and they get detentions.
They didn't have to have the detention. The head of the year really apologised, said the teacher, if she's going to have a debate, she's got to be able to take other people's opinions.
So when you challenged the school took the detentions away and apologised.
Oh, good. Yeah, completely. He really apologised, the head of the year.
You can't have a conversation about a general election then when somebody wants to vote for one of the main parties. Well, one of the parties is, right, you've got a detention. That's absurd.
Well, I couldn't believe it. At the time, I thought, there's no way he's got a detention for that. But I said, I'll ring the school and find out. And
go on then, Dad, ring him. Go on, Dad, ring him. Ring him. It's true, Dad. Nice story, Paul. But how did the teacher? Did you say it was a she, the teacher?
It was a she, the teacher. Yeah. It was his form teacher. Yeah. I think she had to apologise to the boys and.
Right. Wow. Good. Well, I'm glad the school took the appropriate action. I'm not saying, by the way, that you should all vote UKIP. Say whatever you like, as long as it's not a banned organisation. Paul.
So, not any brainwashing going on in Britain's schools, are there? A little brainwashing here and there. Never hurt anybody, I guess. 4 police officers were injured after a brutal attack in London. Police officers slashed in a North London fight. The officers suffered knife wounds when they were met with hostility while trying to break up a brawl at a house in Islington. 2 police officers have been slashed after responding to reports of a fight in a house in North London. Officers were called to Liverpool Road in Islington on Saturday night. They were met with hostility, were confronted by a man at the address who produced a large knife. 2 male officers were stabbed. One of them suffered serious injuries and remained in the hospital. His condition is not thought to be life-threatening. Another 2 female officers were also hurt during the incident. One sustained a head injury and another possibly a fractured wrist. A 19-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder and received hospital treatment for minor injuries before he was taken into custody. Another man, also 19, was arrested on suspicion and remains in custody. Obviously, they are not going to let out the identities of said people, their asylum, immigration status, or anything like that. So, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. So now we're going to move on to Italy. Strong Italy and very, very weak Theresa May. If you didn't see in the beginning, we're going to play this one more time. I like this version. You can watch the original version where she just comes out dancing. Theresa May, this is her lightheartedness. Now, she has to be under a tremendous amount of pressure.
Right.
But if she is just playing a game, then she doesn't feel the pressure.
Exactly.
So I think that with somebody like this, I would feel a tremendous amount of pressure. My whole country's, and I don't think I would be able to be like this.
It's so worth watching again if you guys were not with us.
She's way too happy and too excited and too loose.
Yeah.
And I hear she just gave like an hour-long nothing burger speech, like nothing in there. It's embarrassing.
Oh my gosh.
Embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Those are her moves. Those are the moves she has.
Tory Brexiteer Nadine Dorries tells Peston that the PM has let her down on Brexit and needs to stand down if she doesn't back down on the Chequers deal.
I say it in sorrow because I was delighted when Theresa May was Prime Minister. And I've been saying it for many, many months to people. Trust her, she will deliver. Sadly, she has let me down and she's let other people down because she isn't delivering. The reason why she isn't delivering is because she has handcuffed herself to this Chequers deal. There is a chance for Theresa May. What she needs is a ladder to climb down from Chequers and embrace a Canada Plus free trade, freestyle agreement And that's what she needs to do, and that's the only thing that can
And if
save
she doesn't
her.
do that at conference, you think go on shortly after
she's
that.
in serious trouble. My personal
She
belief
did
is that
not
we
do it
need
at the
somebody
conference, I guess, this
who
conference.
can
Okay.
invigorate the party, who can articulate the sunny uplands, who can tell us about all the great opportunities that are going to be there if we have a good, positive Brexit. Theresa May is not doing that, and that is the problem.
People need positivity. I mean, seriously, if Canada can have a good trade agreement with the EU, why can't Britain?
Speaking of positivity, would you go get Jasper?
Yeah.
All right. So Freedom Fighter, I think, there are a couple times in the chat where everything you guys say sticks out to me. But I want to cover, and that is the fact that he asked about, Kansas, whether he has his own channel. He said that, I heard he knows his Bible well. I would request a Bible study from him. I actually took a screenshot of that and sent it to him. Lee and I are constantly on him about doing more Bible studies. And then I think it was Adeline in there who had said, Leah's a pastor. And he says, wow, Leah's a pastor. Kansas has these videos. Where did she just go again?
She went in the thing. I need to get a brush.
No, you need a new, I think those are all wet. Jasper needs a diaper. Lee, you'll have to get a...
This one's pretty dry.
Okay. But anyway, for those of you that... I want to take this time in the middle of our European and UK news show to plug our own channel. Because I want you guys to be able to navigate where you can find Resistance Chicks content and what's there, what's available, who are Leah and Michelle. Maybe you're a new viewer. Maybe you don't. Who's this Kansas guy? Maybe you don't know anything about this. Obviously, you know much about a lot, I'm sure. This is our Mass Faith 3 YouTube channel. If you're watching this later on our Resistance Chicks channel, maybe you only know us from Resistance Chicks. We have 2 YouTube channels. The Resistance Chicks didn't take off because we already had subs on our Mass Faith 3 channel when we started Resistance Chicks, but it's there and it's good to have 2 because they shut us down. All right, so when you go to our channel, what you're going to see, it's going to look something like this. Now, I always put our Resistance Chicks videos right here. Underneath of that, you have the most popular uploads that we have that have had the most amount of views. Below that, you have our quirky Leah and Michelle Virgin Diaries, which are a hoot. If you are a Resistance Chicks fan and you love our stuff and you haven't seen the Virgin Diaries series, you aren't really a fan. You need to go and watch that. Below that, we have our God's Little Acre playlist. Every time we do a kind of a project around here, whether it's canning or showing you guys videos outside, I try to drop it into this playlist right here. Underneath of that, we have our Isaiah 58 videos. These are different videos that we've done that are more inclined to Bible studies, preaching, focused on God, things like that. I probably need to drop a few more in there. That doesn't look as full as it should be. I don't know why this is here. These are just uploads. That's kind of just ridiculous. Then we get to your favorite of mine, the Kansas Cowboys videos in this playlist here. But maybe because I just switched over to another scene. It'll come back.
But it's been low. Friday was low.
Okay. Our mom is telling us that the volume is low.
Do you have a switcher on?
No, I don't know why the volume is low. Let me know if you guys think that that it's low. Now, hilarious yet informative indoor-outdoor projects. That's there. Our music videos, we tried to put those here. Cooking demos. So we have different playlists. But here's the Kansas Cowboy. And here's Isaiah 58 Ministries. I probably need to drop more of our more recent Bible studies and stuff in there, and I'll try to do that today. But I wanted you guys to be able to avail yourselves to where you can find us. Now, also, you can find us on resistancechicks.com, okay? You should be able to. There we are. Secured. This is our website. So there's a lot that you can find here as well. You can share from here. You can register from here. You can email from here. I do try to categorize. I write articles occasionally on here as well. So not everything that I share is just a video, but it might have an article with it as well. So I wanted to just take this time because it was brought up in the chat. I don't do this very often, to let you guys know where you can find more, if you can't get enough, Resistance Chicks, or you want to know who Kansas is and learn a little bit more about who we are, there you have it. All right, now it looks like we're going to Nigel Farage. Nigel, do you think Theresa May is the worst prime minister ever?
So who would be your ideal Tory leader?
Oh, we'll have to see who emerges. I mean, I'm not saying Boris wouldn't be. You know, I mean, anyone that... do you know what? Anyone that believes in Brexit. Anyone. But this woman who clearly doesn't.
I mean, she said this morning on Andrew Marr that she does.
Oh, please. She keeps standing up and they wind her up at the back in the mornings, you know. We'll take back control of our money, our laws and our borders. And then does the opposite. Don't believe a word she says.
Is this the worst prime minister in a generation?
No, I mean, in my lifetime. And that's 2 generations. I think she's absolutely hopeless.
So Freedom Fighter says, can I make a request for Kansas to preach sometime?
You absolutely can.
Yes, we've been putting pressure on him ourselves. Somebody says, Kansas doesn't talk. How can he have a channel? Go watch the Kansas Cowboys. The dude actually has a lot to say. I think maybe sometimes when he gets around people that can't shut up, then that might be an issue.
Nigel Farage went before the EU. For another...
Here we go again.
Nigel Farage.
Thank you. What is the moment of truth approaching?
I can see volume being an issue on a video like that.
For the Brexit negotiations in a couple of weeks' time. I have to say Brexiteers are dismayed at the way that our Prime Minister has acted. I've got to hand it, Mr Juncker, to your negotiators. They're very much better than ours. The previously undiscussed issue of the Irish border, never a problem at any point during the referendum, has very effectively been weaponised by Barnier. But of course, this has got nothing to do with the Good Friday Agreement. Nothing to do with the peace process whatsoever. No, Barnier is much cleverer than that. This is all to do with making sure that the United Kingdom stays with the European regulatory framework. The one thing Barnier has been scared of from the start is us leaving and us becoming competitive. Sadly, the British Prime Minister has fallen hook, line and sinker for this, and we find ourselves now going into this next summit in a very weak position. There is, of course, a better approach to all of this that would satisfy both democratically the Brexit vote and, I think, the demands of German industry and exporters. I mean, don't forget what an important marketplace we are. Your exporters call us Treasure Island. So many motor cars and so much wine and Belgian chocolate do you sell us. We should go for a simple free trade deal. For 20 years here, everybody from Commissioner Kinnock to Giscard d'Estaing has said to me, if you want to leave political union and have a free trade deal, that's fine by us. We just need a Prime Minister who actually understands it. Now, I know the European Commission would not necessarily want this because I think they're trying to use the Brexit process as a means of saying leaving this club comes at a price. But I do believe it would be possible. But we get to the heart, of course, of what this European Union is when we see the behaviour of the unelected bureaucrats, people like Mr Tusk, whose behaviour at Salzburg was arrogant, low-grade, pretty vulgar in every respect. But that is what you get when you design a form of government that gives power without accountability. Nobody voted for these guys, and nobody can get rid of these guys. They can do what the hell they like, and increasingly, the authoritarian nature of this club, taking away voting rights from Hungary, Poland, and who knows next. There is one little victory, though, that I'm pleased with. For a decade here, I have noticed that centralising, authoritarian tone began to sound very like the old Soviet Union. The concept of limited sovereignty of individual nation states. I even talked in the past about the Volkerkerker, the old Austro-Hungarian prison of nations, and to see the British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt now using that language means we have shifted the centre of gravity, we have shifted this debate. I know many of you here still think that we're a hostage and that you're going to demand some extraordinary ransom from us. We're not. We're a free people. Under the right leadership, we'd say to you, let's have a free trade deal, or we would simply walk away.
Wow.
Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage.
Well said, Nige.
All right. Watch Leave Me Leave latest video explaining why a world trade deal allows us to take back our control.
There are, right now in the UK, some 800,000 under 25-year-olds who are neither in education, employment, nor training. This is nowhere near the scale of the problem faced by Greece, Italy or Spain, but we do need to seriously consider the future prospects of our next generation. Big businesses in Britain should be offering our young people apprenticeships, training, and ultimately jobs to fill roles in our growing economy. However, this would cost them time and money. Big businesses have instead been happy to fill their workforces with unlimited cheap labour from the continent. This has reduced opportunities for young Brits, whilst at the same time driven down wages in the UK, which is great for the bigwigs, but really very bad for everybody else. And to anyone honest enough to look, it is obvious that our schools, hospitals and roads simply can't cope with this additional demand. Massive influxes from the EU have also made it difficult for Britain to accommodate many high-skilled Anglophile workers from outside of Europe who would very much like to come. A perfect example of our country's backwards immigration priorities. Lastly, in addition to reducing opportunities for young Brits, lowering our wages, putting great strain on public services and handicapping a high-skilled immigration, each low-skill economic migrant to Britain actually costs we taxpayers £3,500 each and every year to pay for their in-work benefits and public services use. Theresa May's Chequers proposal is to allow anyone from the EU who has a job offer to come, but that is an open invitation to fraud. It means more of the same. 2 years ago, Britain voted to take back control of our borders. We did not vote to keep the status quo. Let's chuck Chequers for a world trade deal and a sensible, skills-based and fair immigration policy. But,
you know, who puts these together? It blows my mind.
Yeah. What I found interesting is, I don't know if I have the article up here, but it's kind of sad because if it's with this immigration boom, I guess you have a green belt in UK, and they're going to take 25,000 acres of this beautiful countryside.
No.
And I think make 460,000 houses. The government is releasing thousands of acres of greenbelt land for developers to concrete over as a population boom driven by mass immigration exasperates a surging demand for housing. What's very interesting is that usually it's the green people, the environmentalists that say, open immigration, bring everybody in, do whatever.
Right.
They're the ones who say that they want to protect the environment. They're the ones that say they want, beautiful, British farms and lush countryside.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at what multiculturalism has done to London, is it lush?
No.
Is it green? Is it wholesome?
Well, I'll take it a step further because Horatio works in architecture. And so he's constantly having to deal with, I want to call them the heritage police. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's a more official name for them. Mm-hmm. But whenever they're working on a project, there are specific officials that come in and make sure that the heritage of these old buildings is being retained. And what I'm seeing here with this is far worse than that, because you will never get the green space back. And you would think that the people that are big, like heritage police kind of backers and supporters, would be up in arms over this.
So UKIP accused the political left of wanting it all: open borders, uncontrolled immigration, housing for all, and environmental protection. Something has to give there. The spokesperson said it's an impossible fantasy, which fails to see the bigger picture due to the myopia of political correctness. You can't say, hey, we're going to pay for housing for all. Come in, whoever wants to. We're going to go ahead and just demolish the beautiful countryside and put up houses.
Wow.
Pave paradise and put up a parking lot or somehow. It's just not awesome. Schools in Britain are advised to alert social services if parents stop sons from wearing skirts. Council guidelines have advised schools that staff may need to alert social services if parents dismiss a gender-questioning child's demand to transition. Brighton Hove City Council's Trans Inclusion School Toolkit tells teachers it may be necessary and advisable to activate safeguarding procedures if worried about a child's well-being and safety when faced with a parent who says, I refuse to allow my son to change his name or wear skirts. As the Telegraph pointed out on Thursday, the Department of Education statutory guidance says that the staff should refer a child to social services or police if the institution's safeguarding lead has concerns about a child's welfare. In addition, a section advising teachers on how to manage some of the most common concerns surrounding gender questioning pupils features several scenarios, including a parent calling in to say, my daughter doesn't want a boy changing next to her. What if he looks at her body? In response to this parental concern, it would not be appropriate to remove the trans pupil from the changing rooms. Instead, it would be far more appropriate to look at offering an alternative changing arrangement for the child who feels uncomfortable around the boy changing next to the girl.
Are you serious? Rather than giving the boy a space, you got to give the girl her own space. Oh, no, heck no.
It is the responsibility of members of staff support, trans pupils and students, and cisgender pupils and students to feel comfortable around one another. Another scenario outlined in the toolkit, which insists that staff and pupils undergo training and awareness raising until everyone at the schools understands a person who identifies as a girl is a real girl, dismisses safety concerns about male pupils competing in single-sex sports with females and vice versa. Such concerns are driven by a false belief that all boys or all girls share the same physical attributes according to the document, which goes on to insist that trans boys are boys, not girls, and therefore entitled to play rugby with boys. Brighton and Hove City Council's toolkits also features extensive information on how schools should become inclusive to gender questioning children, such as warning staff giving relationships and sex education lessons not to label genitals as male or female, but instead make it clear that most rather than all boys have a penis and testicles, and most rather than all girls have a vulva or vagina. Now, this would come into a serious problem if those children wanted to grow up to be farmers, to which the children go out to ask the young little piggies, do you feel like a boy or do you feel like a girl? Because I can't tell by your testicles or by your vulva. How do you feel today? No, yes.
You think that your child is your own. They are not. They belong to the state. That is what you're being told. This is why Leah and I are constantly telling you to pull your child from public school, because if you can, we have viewers in countries that cannot. Because when you send your child to the public school system, you are literally handing over your rights to your child. And now they can come and prosecute you if you don't want your kid to wear a skirt. If I don't want little Johnny to wear the specific blue shirt that he wore yesterday because it has SpaghettiOs spilt on it, I have every right to tell him what he can and cannot wear because I'm his mama.
So I didn't share this with you guys last week, but I did watch a video where Piers Morgan talks about this. I guess in Britain you guys have something called Girl Guides. It's very, very much like our Girl Scouts.
Okay.
Girl Guides expels a leader who opposed trans shower sharing policies. Two Girl Guide leaders say they have been expelled from the organization after opposing new equality and diversity rules, which compel units to let transgender identifying males share showers and other facilities with girls as young as 5. Now, I would want those women as my girls' leader, and whoever would allow a young transitioning boy in the shower with a girl, I would not want them to be.
They should be thrown in jail.
After 12 leaders signed an open letter warning that the new policy raised safeguarding concerns, Girl Guiding UK removed 2 of its signatories, closing down their units, and had launched disciplinary investigations into at least 5 guide leaders, according to the Sunday Times. Published in the newspaper in April and signed by 224 guide leaders, parents, and former Girl Guides, the letter asserts that the new trans inclusion rules reinforce gender stereotypes and deny informed parental consent, as well as putting girls' safety and privacy at risk. Signatories slammed the ban on telling parents their daughters would be sharing bedrooms and bathroom facilities with individuals who are physically male, which is imposed by the policy under which units must accept boys who identify as girls on camping trips and other activities. Helen Watts, the leader of a Rainbows unit for girls ages 5 to 7 in London, learned on Friday that her membership to the organization had been revoked after more than 15 years. Girl Guiding UK reportedly told Watts she was being expelled because she was not willing to follow the organization's equality and diversity policy insofar as it provides for transgender inclusion. I'm very upset, and I'm also really angry. We had some serious concerns about a policy that ignored basic safeguarding principles. The policy puts all leaders in a really difficult position. It contradicts other inclusion policies for certain faith communities, for instance, and it completely contradicts existing policies around informed parental consent.
Wow.
Another expelled leader, who is based in the Northwest, according to the Times, said she was forced to shut her unit down after she was told she was not allowed to talk to the girls or other parents following the organization's decision. Reporting that she was removed for refusing to follow girl guiding procedures, the leader said, "I told them I would follow any procedures unless it conflicted with the safety of a girl in my care." She was also accused of being disrespectful on social media, but said that the organization had neglected to provide an example of this. Commenting on the case, Girl Guiding said, "Withdrawal of membership is always a last resort, but we take very seriously any breach of our volunteer code or code of conduct or policies."
Oh my goodness.
Girl Guiding is for all girls, that including trans girls. And Piers Morgan actually had a mother of a trans child defending this policy, saying my little boy says that he's a girl, and I don't want to ever have to tell anybody that he's actually a boy, and it would mess with his head. And it was Piers Morgan actually did not give any very good arguments to this. Rather, this is the king's new clothes. This is the rest of us saying the king does not have any clothes on. And they're saying, no, the boy is a girl. And we're like, no, the boy is a boy. The boy has a male boy parts, especially when boys who are young, they don't even know what a boy means.
Right.
They don't understand what it means to be a girl. They see girls with lipstick. It reinforces gender stereotypes, and that's the bottom line. That girls wear dresses and boys wear pants and shorts.
That's exactly it. It doesn't make any sense. If you have a child, and Lee and I have said this, it doesn't matter whether you're a child or whether you're an adult or whatever. If you feel like you are trapped inside of the wrong body, and you know what? I won't even take the argument of, we won't even go there, whether you are or whether you are not. But that's a very serious health problem, whether it's mental and you're wrong, or whether it's mental and you're right, or whether it's physical and you're right, or whatever. So we see children that are born with health problems all the time, and those health problems limit them from being a regular part of society. It's heartbreaking. It's very sad. It's unfortunate. But you cannot damage other children because you were born with a problem.
But I don't think they're born with a problem.
I'm saying you can at least take it that far.
Right, but most of these young boys just want to dress like girls.
Exactly.
We have a war on boys all across the Western world.
Why would a little boy want to be a little boy when all he ever hears is that males are, we have masculine toxicity, men are bad, women are allowed to badmouth men and say how horrible they are and make fun of them to no end? Why would any boy actually want to grow up and be a man anyway to start with? I think that's what you were getting at.
They get love, they get acceptance, but here's the thing. I was told growing up by the feminists or whatever that, and it's not a bad thing. Girls can do anything. Girls can play sports. Girls can run around in shorts. They don't have to wear makeup. They don't have to do any of those things.
Yeah.
I was told that wearing makeup or wearing dresses, that doesn't make you a girl or a boy.
Right. But
it's
a double standard
with the trans children is that they don't dress like a boy. They don't act like they want to dress like a gender
stereotypes.
They want to dress like the gender stereotype.
Right.
A Danish minister rejects EU migrant quotas, claiming too few contribute. Thank you. This Danish Immigration and Integration Minister Inger Stoltenberg has reinforced the gender stereotype. 2018 saying the migrants do not contribute enough to Denmark.
Right.
The Venstre Party politician said that Denmark would not be opening the country's borders to asylum seekers, saying, although we have gained significantly better control over the influx, we are still in the position that we are struggling to integrate the many refugees who come to Denmark in recent years. Despite the fact that more refugees have come to work, there are still too many who do not support themselves. This applies especially for women, where too few contribute, and that is why I've decided that Denmark should not take quota refugees in 2018. The statement comes after the Danish government passed legislation allowing the immigration minister to set the number of asylum seekers that would be welcomed in the country each year. She said, in my opinion, it is because we have become too scared to set out clear demands to the people of Denmark. What? Oh,
it was an echo.
Oh, there was an echo. So, anyways, that's good news. All right, on to Salvini. On to Italy. First of all, Salvini says, I'm going to close the airports to the EU if Germany try to fly the illegal immigrants into my country. I'm going to just shut it down the airports. Don't you dare try to bring in the illegal immigrants into my country. I'm going to just shut down the airport. Ain't nobody coming in and nobody coming out. Okay? How that? Take that.
I love him so much. Oh my gosh.
Italy's interior minister has vowed to close the country's airport if Germany follows through with reported plans to send dozens of asylum seekers back to Italy. Matteo Salvini tweeted Sunday, we will close our airports if we are close to the seaport, like we closed the seaports. Since Salvini became interior minister in June, the Italian government has blocked migrant rescue trafficking ships operated by NGOs from docking in Italian ports. Italian news reports have said Berlin was planning on to put some migrants on charter flights from Germany to Italy. The European Union rules require asylum seekers to be processed in the country which they reach first. He said, hey, don't send them back here, baby. Salvini slaps it down the globalist EU chiefs for ruining Italy and Europe. He hit back. Salvini hit the back at a major EU figure, including President Jean-Claude Juncker, stating that the globalist policy imposed by unelected bureaucrats were wrecking Europe. People like Juncker and Moscovici have ruined Europe and our country, he said, after the European commissioners launched a number of verbal attacks on the country's populist coalition government, asserting that Brussels has supported economic measures that have made Italy poor. Salvini said he has no interest in complaints from Juncker or Moscovici, the unelected EU executive's economic affairs chief, about the Italian government's proposed budget. They should say what they want. We will continue, the Lega leader said, noting that his party will join with other patriotic forces across Europe in the next year's European Parliament elections in order to change the current globalist-led bloc's course to one which respects national sovereignty. I will be happy to rebuild a new Europe with a popular vote in May 2019. I work only for the good and the future of the Italian people, he added. His comments came 2 days after the Italian leader said the country was sick of insults coming from Paris and Brussels. Macron just on a rampage here, following Moscovici hitting out at Italian and Hungarian voters for choosing governments opposed to Brussels' plan for a neoliberal EU superstate. Like the Hungarians, also the Italians have opted for a decidedly Eurosceptic and xenophobic government, which on migrant and budget issues is trying to get out of European obligations, they said. Salvini hit back, dismissing the Paris-born commissioner, who began his political career in France's Revolutionary Communist League, as talking through his hat and declaring there's no racism or a xenophobia in Italy, but finally a government chosen by the citizens, which has blocked migrant smugglers and shut the ports, baby. Breitbart London reported last week on Moscovici's demand that Brussels bring an end to national sovereignty over finance, with the creation of a joint budget between the Eurozone countries in order to kill off populist politics in the bloc.
If you control their money, it's like a husband that controls all the money with a wife.
Yeah, but you shouldn't even be married. You countries don't need to be married. Get a divorce. French President Emmanuel Macron and his domestic economy team have reportedly been ramping up pressure for the bloc to move forward with convergence of the 19 Eurozone states before the European Parliament elections next year, fearing the rise of pro-sovereignty movements would endanger the European project. So they're afraid that Bannon and Le Pen and Salvini and Hungary, they're going to elect people and put regular, normal people into the EU, like a Nigel Farage, to put pressure and actually make it Isn't it supposed to be the will of the people? Are these
Absolutely.
MEPs actually voted in to represent their people? No. The people like the globalists, they pretend, but they just know, okay, you're just going to vote the way we want you to vote.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to tell you what to do. They craft the laws. That's what I understand. The unelected people craft the laws, and all the MEP people get to do is vote yes or no.
Right.
They don't get to do anything. It's absolutely insane. This is not democracy.
No.
So this is a big fight happening right now. Salvini's frequent denunciation of Brussels bureaucrats and his emphasis on Italians being led by a government chosen by the citizens comes after years of rule by Europhile technocrats. I love all these big giant words. Salvini, Italian state will strengthen self-defense rights, cover legal costs of home defenders. Get this one, guys. As part of a new self-defense reform, Italy's populist interior minister Matteo Salvini has promised that people who confront home invaders will have their legal bills paid for by the Italian state.
No way.
A new self-defense bill is set to enter parliamentary debate
We need that.
October 23rd
No, we don't,
with Mr. Salvini pushing for more liberalism on the rights of Italians to defend themselves from home invasion.
Now pause for a second there, because these articles kind of run on, and I want to interject some explanations in case you get a little bit disjointed here. When it comes to Matteo Salvini, he is a populist, but he is also kind of a socialist.
Yeah.
And so when I said, hey, we need that here, and then I have to walk it back and I have to realize as a libertarian, no, we do not. We do not want the state footing the bill to defend somebody who has to go to court. What we need is legislation that makes it so that somebody that has a home invader.
States have these rules. It's called the Castle Rule.
No, the Castle Law is that you are allowed. No, but the state is not funding your legal bill. So we need, what I'm saying is, the answer is in legislation. However, because we're in a socialist country and that's the way they run their country, and I'm not going to judge them one way or the other, if that's what Salvini's answer is to not prosecuting or putting into jeopardy people who have been attacked, then okay. And we have to be able to differentiate and say, you know what, we have our laws in America, we have our libertarian beliefs in America, they're kind of socialist, and I think that as a populist,
however, have public
this is
defenders.
a good...
If you're accused of something, you have a public defender.
True.
You always have a right to legal...
Right, representation.
Yeah. Writing on social media, Salvini stated, a thief who comes into your house, a company, or a store, and you defend yourself, it will be your right to do so, and the thug and his relatives will not be able to ask for €1 of compensation. Besides, you won't end up on trial for years, and you won't pay out of your own pocket. The state will cover any legal expenses for those who defend themselves. The statement follows promises made in June that he would seek to liberalize the ability of homeowners to use firearms to defend their property. Across Europe, there are very few countries which grant firearms licenses for self-defense purposes. The Czech Republic, which has a relatively libertarian stance on firearms ownership, is one of the few that will grant a weapons permit for self-defense. Despite stricter laws in the European countries, nations like Austria have still seen the number of requests for weapons permits increase significantly since the height of the migrant crisis in 2015. Over the last year, firearms licenses have increased by 13% across Italy. So Italy is standing up, and it is refreshing to see every week there's another Matteo Salvini, go get him, which is actually pretty awesome. An update here before we, I don't know if we're going to do a song or any mail call. Vatican announces investigation into serial sex abuser Cardinal McCarrick. The Pope has been going back and forth. He's been talking about how there's the great Satan is attacking through this whole sex scandal abuse.
Right.
Forgive people, blah, blah, blah. But I guess, behind the scenes, something might get done. The Vatican announced Saturday that it will begin an investigation into the serial homosexual abuser of former U.S. Cardinal Theodore McCarrick in the face of mounting pressure to address the issue. The Vatican will undertake a thorough study of the entire documentation present in the archives of the offices of the Holy See. The statement said the Holy See has been notified by the Archdiocese of New York of accusations against McCarrick. Vigano also claimed that Francis had reinstated McCarrick to a position of influence in the Vatican, lifting previous sanctions that Pope Benedict had put on him. And Francis, who had put the Vatican back on the geopolitical stage, knows that when he needs a savvy back-channel operator, he could turn to McCarrick. Without mentioning the Vigano report, Saturday's Vatican communique said that the Pope Francis is aware and concerned by the confusion that these accusations are causing in the conscience of the faithful. Nevertheless, it made no mention to allegations that the Pope himself had seriously mishandled the case, because that would, mean that he probably wasn't appointed by God to be there in the first place. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm continuing to pray for the Catholic Church. There are articles out saying that the Catholic Church is undergoing the greatest test since the Reformation. And what's very interesting is that we just celebrated the 500-year anniversary of the Reformation? Is that what it was? Is it the 400 years? It's just a huge anniversary of the Reformation that they just.
I think
it was in 2000 and.
500? No, it's got to be
So
at least 500. It's not 400.
Anyways, they just celebrated this Reformation, anniversary, and I don't feel like it's. I feel like it's significant that Martin Luther's like, hey, let's continue to clean this thing up, guys. We're not done yet.
I like it. All right, so we have a couple of things to get to from Horatio that he had sent us. I don't know if that's kind of. So let me switch over here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. All right, so Cox rocks Tory conference. Boris may have drawn the crowds while the PM got a laugh for her dancing queen, which we showed. But it was Geoffrey Cox, QC, who comfortably stole the show at the Tory conference this year. He was only supposed to be May's warm-up act, but the new Attorney General's uproarious speech had the crowd completely enraptured as he strode around the stage, booming out the benefits. I hope not. Oops. Hang on. My mom just asked if we're offline. I need to check and see if we are still there. I think we're still there.
It says live still.
It says we're still live. All right, so now when Horatio had sent this to me, he says, I don't agree with him on everything, but he sure is fun to listen to. So I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to give you guys kind of an idea of.
At 11 p.m. on the 29th of March 2019, we will leave the European Union. And soon thereafter, in an extraordinary moment in our history, the EU institutions will no longer have the right to make laws for our country.
Okay, you should totally not be politician and this should be an actor, and that's definitely really further. You should be reading books.
And that power will belong exclusively to the sovereign Parliament of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
It's very fun to listen to.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a precious prize. Like millions of others, I voted to leave the European Union. Not because I didn't wish to continue our special and close friendship and collaboration with our friends there, but because the political and democratic price of ever closer union was just too high. I was 15. True. I was once 15. I was 15 at the time of the first referendum. My generation did not get to vote. We waited 41 years to do so. And now, some want another referendum after 2. And the Labour Party are poised, waiting to see which way the wind blows. But this government and this Prime Minister will not be deflected from the solemn...
I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to let you guys watch the rest of this, unless you wanted to watch the whole thing. Because he goes into talk about, he really bolsters up May. And I told Horatio after having watched it, I was like, they found the perfect guy to put forth her checkers plan. I have another one. And everything like that, because you just find yourself listening to him nodding and agreeing with everything that he says just because he's such a great orator. So I thought that was really, really fun. Okay. No, that's just us. So the next one I'm going to get to is, apparently the Greater London Authority actually, their first gut reaction was not to allow the baby Trump blimp. So I'm going to go over this article and we're going to read it. I don't know. We can play Piers.
Did you personally approve this blimp of the President of the United States in a topless, in a nappy, to fly at Parliament? Did you personally approve it?
No, but I support the GLA in the decision they took.
So who did approve?
Well, it's the GLA. We're a corporate body, but we took the decision.
Okay, now. So the Guido readers may remember the underwhelmingly sized Trump baby blimp, which floated a few meters above Parliament Square during Trump's visit in July. I should be doing this in a British accent. Despite his long-running feud with Trump, Sadiq Khan was insistent at the time that the decision was solely that of the Greater London Authority as a corporate body, and that he had not personally approved the blimp. In fact, emails obtained by Guido reveal that the GLA initially rejected the proposal outright, only revising their decision after a concerted campaign from Sadiq's closest advisors, including his director and communications Patrick Hennessy. So here is the timeline of events. On April 27th, GLA facilities management emails the organizers of the protest to tell them that we cannot consider the inflatable request below and the decision is final. June 15th, following the publication of an article in The Guardian by the organizer imploring Sadiq to let Trump baby fly. Several of Sadiq Khan's top team, including senior advisors Leah Kretzman, Nick Bowes, and Patrick Hennessy, exchanged a number of emails where they prepared lines on how to reopen the decision process around approving the blimp. On the 27th of June, Leah Kretzman sends an email stating, "I think we might need to lean into it a bit more now. Can you please draft something along the lines of us looking at how we can make it happen?" Sadiq's team agree a line to send over to the Evening Standard. On the 28th of June, the city operations lead in Sadiq's office sends an email stating that they are now minded to grant permission. On the 4th of July, an authorization notice is sent to the blimp organizer informing him that permission has now been granted. On July 6th, Sadiq's team prepare an extended Q&A and lines for him to take, including the lines, "I was not involved in the decision at all. It was made by the city operations team at the GLA, and I did not have a role in this decision. It was a decision for the city operations team at the GLA." On July 10th, Sadiq appears on Good Morning Britain and gives the line that he was not involved and it was a GLA decision. The numerous emails between Sadiq's top team show that this was not a simple bureaucratic decision by the GLA, but in fact a last-minute reversal of the original decision following a concerted campaign to change it. It is implausible that the senior members of his team, including his director of communications, did not discuss this with the mayor at any point during the process. Either way, Sadiq's portrayal of the decision as a purely procedural rather than political was unquestionably misleading the public.
Misleading? Lying. Totally lying.
Liar.
There was a
boy,
liar.
Flat out lied.
How can you trust anything this guy says? Like, they literally crafted, this is politics at its highest. Like, when you, Sadiq Khan said, no, that's not exactly what happened.
Okay, so we do have a mail call, but I'm going to save it for when we do China because today's our European show and this is American news. So there you have it. There is that. We do have time for a song. If you have a song in mind, I don't have one.
I don't have a song in mind.
You have your guitar down here.
I do.
There it is.
Down here.
Okay. Let's see. I mean, I guess while you're opening that up and figuring it out, I could just go ahead and read the mail call. All right. So this is from Kim. We've gotten a few emails from Kim. I put this in because she's got a link to a video I'm gonna play. I don't know how long it is, but at least I'll give it a go. She says, you guys really need not only watch this video, but spread this video. One of the best I've seen in a long time as for informing the U.S. public as to what is more than likely coming soon, starting with the alert going out on October 3rd from Trump and why and how this directly correlates to the arrests of many committing crimes against the U.S., Obama, Clinton, CNN, Google, YouTube, and so on. Pretty much the draining of the swamp to come and how we are going to have to defend our country and our president. Actually, this kind of is fitting because oftentimes we do the European and UK news so that our American viewers can understand what's going on in the UK and in Europe. For our European and UK viewers, you may not be aware that, like, what, Leah, 3 days ago, we all got an SMS alert message, a text message, from, it said it was a presidential alert, and I think, Leah, it said that it was just a test.
Yeah.
But every single American got it. Interestingly, my cell phone didn't get one. I found out about it from my friends. But I have an old cell phone that I use that I keep kind of like, I use it like a tablet a little bit, like for keeping audiobooks and music and stuff like that on. That text message, or that cell phone that does not have a cell phone chip in it, got the message. Now, Kansas also has a similar situation, same kind of deal where he's got a phone that doesn't have, what is the name of that card? The little SIM card, the SIM card. Doesn't have a SIM card in it, and he got the text message, which is also, I think, a little bit creepy that they can randomly, like, they can turn on your phone, okay? They could call your phone without you having a phone number, okay? This is crazy stuff. My cell phone didn't get the text message that almost every single American with a cell phone got, but my cell phone that doesn't have a SIM card did. Same with Kansas. And so it is a little bit disconcerting. It's a little bit weird. So that is what Kim is referring to here in her email. She says, I wanted to get in on your thing with sending letters to you guys, but once again, every time I think I have restored my faith in God, I get slapped back down again. Remember how I told you all that I'm not sure if she wants me to read all of this, but it kind of seems like she does. I'm going to skip that part. And then I'm going to say, then I found your channel and felt like everything was falling back into place. And into who I was. Well, she says that she's had a really horrible year ever since that. She's lost 2 people in her life that have passed away. Her favorite cat, the one that loves to listen to Leah sing and jumps into her lap and falls asleep as soon as she picks up the guitar and starts a few chords. He is in the office on my lap snoring away before the first song is finished. Well, I found out a month ago he has a tumor in his colon that has to be removed in surgery or he will die because it will eventually close off his colon, but the surgery could also very well kill him too, and it's a very delicate, hard one to do from what they are saying, and all that is off the hopes that it is also not a cancer tumor. So a lot of money trying to spend to save his life, and I have no other choice but to watch him die otherwise. So I've been very busy with all of that going on, but please take a look at the above video. I think you will find it packed with information that people need to know. Thanks, Kim. I'm going to take a look at that video and then possibly bring it to you guys, but I want to look at it first. But Kim, we are praying for you. We are praying for your cat that loves to listen to Leah sing. So I want the rest of you guys, our Resistance Chicks family, to lift up Kim in your prayers and her cat who enjoys Leah's music. So Leah's got some songs, a song here.
Yeah, so
here we go.
This is a praise and worship song that we sing all the time. Lord, I want to know you. But along those lines, we recognize that when we bring you guys the news that we're talking about these big giant things.
Maia says you can opt out of Amber Alerts and weather alerts, but not the presidential alerts.
Interesting.
Thank you, man.
I realize that you guys are all having issues, that you all have a thing, and then sometimes you're just getting in the presence of God, or you're getting in your relationship with God, and then something comes and hits you out of nowhere. This week, I had fleas on Sydney. I had worms in expensive feed bag from the pet store. I had
like pantry moths.
Pantry moths. And it was like all this icky things happening. I had a dog get loose on me last night. I had to chase him through the woods, through the mud, through a creek. That's just little things. I understand that there's big things that you guys, we're all going through.
Exactly.
And all I can tell you is this. Call on Jesus' name. I will tell you, last night I have a praise report that you guys are here. I was watching some dogs, and one little dog who's supposed to be able to go out on leash just took off running through the woods. And I had another little dog who I had on leash to go potty, and I had to scoop up this Chihuahua dog and go running through the woods, hoping to find this little dog, cute little, awesome little dog. It just got on the scent of a deer or a rabbit or something, and we went trapezing up and down ravines. My nice shoes, gym shoes, through the creek, through the mud.
Your nice new shoes?
Mm-hmm, just had to go for it. What are you going to do? I can't step in the mud in my good shoes. And 3/4 of the way down this giant, and I'm just in the woods. That's all I can tell you is I'm in the woods. I'm like, I gotta pray. I'm like, God, bring back this dog. Bring back this dog. And I was like, angels, go get that dog. And it must have been 2 minutes, 3 minutes later, but it felt like an hour. Off way in the distance, this dog was getting ready to take a corner into this other section of woods I never would have looked in. I mean, we're talking about once that wood starts, it's just woods. If you ever get a dog loose, neighborhoods are great. Woods are bad.
Yeah.
Sure. And I yelled and yelled and yelled, and she finally heard me. And because I was screaming the whole time, she didn't hear me. She's just olfactory deafness. Have you ever heard of that? It means their scent takes over and they can't hear. And she turned around, she looked at me, and she was going to run again. I was like, Roo, Roo. And I have this other dog in my arms. I see this giant, it's down, straight down into a creek. I'm like, dog, down, dog. What am I going to do? I'm like, I'm trying to process.
Ravine, a little holler.
Yeah. So we slide down. I'm like, I got to get back up. It's not like it's like up. It's like straight down, straight up. It's like we're climbing with the dog and like mountain climbing. And I finally get
an adventure.
Drew back in my arms, and I carry these two dogs all the way back through the woods, down more ravines, through the woods, and praise the Lord. And I just praise the Lord. So why did I tell you that story? Well, number one, because thank God it's a praise report. But if you got issues, even if you got depression, or you're sad, or you're oppressed, or your kids are like this, or your husband and wife are like this, and everything is. And maybe it's not all just bad. Maybe you just feel yucky. Maybe it's something that's just like, just sit right.
We call it a disturbance in the force. Thank you, Maia.
Get into the presence of God.
Absolutely.
I don't say this lightly. I'm not saying that just singing to God's going to solve your problems, or reading your Bible is going to solve your problems, or going down into the water is going to solve all your problems. But I will tell you that Jesus will solve all your problems.
Right.
And he can give you peace and calm in the midst of the storm.
Yeah.
Okay? Cry out. Jesus says, all who call upon the Lord, name of the Lord will be saved. And I mean this when I say, remind yourself that God loves you and say, Jesus, save me. Jesus, save me. Jesus, come be in with me right now.
Maia had a similar experience the other day with a nightmare and a dream. And I've had a similar experience as well. I've had it several times where you have to, the devil is attacking and you have to cry out, Jesus, save me. And it's so, so effective.
I'm going to get it. I really want to
see
the song.
I have a song that starts out this way and I always get the two. I can start from here. I think you're strumming too fast.
I want to touch you. I want to see your face. I want to know you.
That's my song. I always go right to it.
In the stillness. pressing onward, pushing every hindrance aside, out of my way, 'cause I want to know you more. I want to know you, I want to hear your voice, I want to know you more. I want to touch you, I want to see your face, I want to know you more. In the secret, in the quiet place, in the stillness, you are there. In the secret, in the quiet hour, I wait only for you, Lord, 'cause I want to know you more. I want to know you, I want to hear your voice, I want to know you more. I want to touch you, I want to see your face, I want to know you more. I am reaching for the highest goal, that I might receive the prize. Pressing onward, pushing every hindrance aside, out of my way, 'cause I want to know you more. Oh Lord God, I want to know you, I want to hear your voice, I want to know you more. I want to touch you, I want to see your face, I want to know you more. I want to know you, I want to hear your voice, I want to know you more. I want to touch you, I want to see your face, I want to know you more. I want to know you, I want to hear your voice, I want to know you more. I want to touch you, I want to see your face, I want to know you more. I want to know you, I want to hear your voice, I want to know you more. I want to touch you, I want to see your face, I want to know you more. What else do you have? Yay. I'm gonna sing this one and this one. Okay. Jesus, lover of my soul, Jesus, I'll never let you go. You're taking me from that miry clay, never gonna let you go. Taking me from that miry clay. You set my feet upon the rock, and now I know that I love you, and I need you, yeah. And though my world may fall, you'll never let me go. 'Cause you're my Savior, Lord God. You're my closest friend. And I will worship you until the very end. Sometimes you just need to go outside and feel the sun shining on your skin. Sometimes when everything is crazy, just go be quiet, right? Right? And just go listen to the birds chirp. My favorite thing, though, is it's funny, as the song's about going outside and feeling the sun on your skin. My favorite thing is to go out and walk at night. Because there's a symphony that God plays. Right. And something is so refreshing. Just go outside, guys, tonight. And I this is what I want all y'all to do. It's actually probably dark in Europe right now. When you're done here, take a 10, 15-minute walk. And just go talk to God and listen. Yeah. Listen to His creation, because there's you can pick up on the song of God in creation.
Well, and it kind of reminds me of the song that we sang first, in the secret, in the quiet place, in the stillness, you are there. In the secret and in the quiet hour, I wait only for you. Right. And so it's so important to get alone and get quiet with the Lord, and then He can speak.
And He'll talk to you. He will talk to you. He will. Unplug, turn the lights off. Feel some natural light, or just outside with the stars. Here we go. I feel the sun shining on my skin. And I want to let the Lord come in. I want the world to know your love. Your ever unchanging love. Your ever unchanging love. Every single time I'm getting down on my knees, I get that soaring feeling like I'm on a flying trapeze. It's the greatest sensation you could ever feel. Just know that my God is truly real. Yes, I know that my God is truly real. Yeah, 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 yeah. I feel the sun shining on my skin. I want to let the world come in. I want the world to know your love. Your ever unchanging love. Your ever unchanging love. Every single time I'm getting down on my knees, I get that soaring feeling like I'm on a flying trapeze. It's the greatest sensation you could ever feel. Just know that my God is truly real. Yes, I know that my God is truly real. Yeah, 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 yeah. Na 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 na, yeah, yeah, yeah. Na 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 na, yeah, yeah, yeah. Na 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 na, yeah, yeah, yeah. Na 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 na, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that my God is real, because I know that I feel your love and presence surrounding me and washing me in perfect peace. Oh Lord, you're washing me in perfect peace. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I feel the sun shining on my skin. Oh, yes, Lord God. Wanna let the warmth truly real. Yes, I know that my God, He's truly real. Yeah, 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 yeah. How do I know that my God is real?
Because I feel Him.
I know that my God is real because I know that I feel your loving presence surrounding me. And oh God, you're washing me in perfect peace. Oh Lord, you're washing me in perfect peace. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Here's the scripture says, I will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on me. Whatever things are holy, whatever things are pure, whatever things are righteous, whatever things are a good report, think on these things. There's a lot of negativity. Why do we bring in the negativity? Because the Bible says, have no fellowship with darkness, but rather, the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. Because you can't have justice unless you expose the unfruitful works of darkness. But if you get caught up thinking to yourself, the darkness has power, the darkness can overcome, the darkness can get me, you will stay in depression. So a lot of people just don't think about it. You guys don't. You're different. You guys are willing to suffer depression and sadness, knowing what's going on. And that's what makes you guys different. So I want to tip you over the edge to the power side. I like it. To where you're like a Superman. And we need to sing that Superman Hero song, by the way, for them. Okay? We have some piano songs we need to set up and sing for these people. Michelle is actually amazing on the piano. She really lets loose on the piano. And I would love to just turn the camera on.
Well, I think one of the reasons why we haven't is because we do have a sticky key, and I haven't wanted to call the piano guy out because that's $100. But we do have a keyboard upstairs that we could bring down and probably set up here in some manner.
Call the piano guy because you really whack it. You like hammer down on that thing. It's powerful.
Now, I do have a song. Yeah, we have the finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right to do, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything be excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have seen in me, put into action, and the God of peace will be with you. Philippians 4:8 and 9, that's what I'll do. 'Cause it must be you, Lord, in my life. Yes, it must be you, Lord, healing me inside. And it must be you, Lord, changing me. And it must be you, Lord, setting me free. You mentioned that song. That's a really good way to remember. I had put that entire scripture, I think I was like 17 or 18 years old. I'd cut out magazine and I put the whole thing on the wall. And I was laying there one night and I was like, I really need to have this memorized. Yep. And so then I came up with that little ditty to help me remember to keep your mind stayed on the things of the Lord. Philippians 4:8 and 9.
We need some guitar or piano to that. It's really good.
We do. All right, so
some soul. It's a soul song.
It is a soul song. We're at 2 hours. We're going to sign off here. Progress on the deck is moving forward in the sense that we are preparing the trailer, and I don't know what that was. Did you just burp on air?
Yes, I did. It was like
she's so excited about this.
I went to say onward Christian soldiers, and it was like,
but nobody heard that. You could have just rolled with it. But now the Resistance Chicks family is in on the whole thing. They all saw that. We have a big tent outside. You guys have seen that. We're reorganizing that. We're emptying the trailer. Our friend Tim's going to help us get the cattle trailer out of here. The deck, groundbreaking. I'm praying that it will start this week. Pray that everything goes well with the building department. I've dropped off the permit and pray that but once, so what says you're a keeper. Once we actually start breaking ground on the deck, I'm going to be out there with you guys, going live, having you guys join us with that progress. I'm really excited about that. Remember, we have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you want to drop us a line, we would love to read your comments and your letters on air. Thank you for being here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Day 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications. Isaiah 58, Blogspot,
resistancechicks.com. Thank you to all of our moderators who were here today. We love you. Maia, worth a look. Gary, Sean, and Tracy were here today. Kelly was here. Resistance Chicks mom was here. Amber was here today. Did I say Gary? I think I got everybody, but if I missed anybody, please forgive me. But thank you guys for being here. If you have a pertinent comment after the video processes, please, please, please leave it in the comment sections. Okay, Amber says the last two times I searched for the Facebook page, I couldn't get it to load or send a message. I'll see if I do different settings, if it will let me post again. Yeah, Facebook is messing with things. YouTube is messing with things. I noticed we had a huge drop in the amount of people that we usually have on a Sunday here today. We had more people on Friday. We had a big subscriber push as well. We were well over the 10,900 mark, and then they dropped us back under that again.
It's so weird, guys. It's so weird. It's
doesn't
okay,
matter,
though. It's
because
okay.
you guys are here. So many people said when you were playing your first song, I needed this. And that's why we're here. We're here for you guys. We would be here if there were only a handful of you.
And we need this too. It's mutually beneficial.
It is mutually beneficial. All right, you guys. Please pray for, do you guys remember Sicilian gal that's often in the chat? Christine is her name. Apparently she was in a car wreck.
Oh, wow.
Adeline told me about that. And then there is somebody else, JR, from a channel I'm not really familiar with, but he was also in a car wreck. And I think he's on life support as well. So you guys can lift these people up in your prayers.
Jesus' name.
But especially Cecilian gal, because she's usually here. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off. And we will see you back again for sure on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, next Sunday at 1 p.m. I think we're going to do a China thing. China. Mike Pence laid his smack down.
Laid it down.
We've already been saying China. And everybody else say Russia.
I said gummy.
I think things are getting kind of hairy. All right. God bless, guys.
I was cold.